Come to a child's pose, letting yourself find comfort here. Allow the knees to spread wide. And to begin with, you can have your arms down by your side. Eventually, we'll bring them up overhead though. So just find a position that works for you and allow your eyes to close, your forehead to rest on the mat, and your breathing to become the focal point for now of your entire being. So just notice the pressure that's created by your ribs and belly as you expand, pressing into the thighs. And notice the gentle contraction that occurs through the obliques and the abdominal muscles as you exhale. Just this natural contraction of these abdominal core muscles that intuitively occurs with each exhale. Just notice that. And this is a natural stability that's created through the core muscles, just through the power of the breath. And allow the stability with the rhythmic breathing of your body create balance and stability in the mind. And whenever you're ready, if your arms are down by your side, go ahead and reach them up overhead and bring your chin to the mat, or maybe your chin doesn't reach the mat. Just look forward towards your hands and begin to gently press your hands into the mat. And you're invited also, even if you want to lift your fingertips up. So it's just the back of your wrists pressing down into the mat. Your fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling, starting to switch on the forearm muscles, the extensor muscles, simultaneously though, hopefully opening up through the shoulders as well, and continuing that smooth and steady breath. Maybe you notice as you exhale, maybe with a little bit of force, you experience a gentle stretch through the shoulders and armpits and upper arms. And with your gaze looking at a focal point in front of you through your hands, can you hold your focus on that point as you rise up into a tabletop position? So not letting your eyes move from that point. And without looking down at your hands, just use your inner awareness to notice your hands pressing down into the mat, your elbow creases pointing forwards, maybe a gentle spreading of the shoulder blades in your back behind you. So getting a kind of torque through the arms, external rotation through the upper arms by bringing the elbow creases forward, but internal rotation of the lower arms by pressing the knuckles of the forefinger into the mat. And hold on to the gaze, hold on to that gentle stability you've created as you just lean forward a little bit more. Maybe starting to think about bringing your hips in line with your shoulders and knees, like a knees down plank, your shoulders maybe leaning far over your wrists. Just feeling, moving gently into that. Press back to tabletop position. You can release the gaze now. Sit back on your heels, bring your hands back behind you, and just open up through the chest, kind of wiggle out through the shoulders. Don't worry about placing any weight back on your hands just yet. Just breathe and find a nice wiggle here. Whenever you're ready, if you want to, start to bring weight into your hands back there behind you, bend the elbows, and maybe lean back onto your ankles, lifting the knees up, just getting a nice stretch through the front of the ankles. Good. Find that focal point again, so it's kind of far in front of you. And so your eyes are kind of looking up. As you move back towards your tabletop position, rock the shoulders forward, keeping your gaze forward, holding on to the torque through the upper arms and the lower arms. Good. Sink the hips back, bring the hands back behind you, bend the elbows, lift the knees up if you want to add that ankle stretch. You can also just keep the knees down if that feels like too much. One more time, hands forward through tabletop position, squeeze the glutes. Imagine you're trying to find a nice straight line from the shoulders to the knees as you press the arms, the shoulders forward of the wrists. Good job. Come back to tabletop position. Tuck the toes under and extend the left leg back. So the left leg is completely straight, both toes tucked under. Find that focal point again. So this is to help clarify our brain's map of kind of this upward looking gaze of our eyes as we move into these holds with stability through the shoulders and the glutes. So can you now slide your left leg back behind you? Just let it slide along the floor as you lower the right hip all the way down onto the right heel. Bend the elbows to lower them down to the mat. So then pull the ribs in like you're trying to lift your ribs off of your right thigh. Still holding on to that focal point, rise back up into the tabletop position. Left leg is still extended. Take it back all the way down. See if you can get the right hip all the way to the heel. Lower the elbows all the way down. Pull the ribs in off of the thigh. Option, extend the right arm straight out in front of you. Lift it as high as you can. So making sure that it's not the ribs opening up to do this. So keep pulling the ribs in, but really opening up through the shoulder. Good. Lower the right hand down, slide back forward one more time. Maybe see if you can just kiss that point that you've been gazing at. And one more time, slide back. Option, when the elbows lower down and the ribs are lifted off of the right thigh, lift the right arm up. And if you really want to, you can play around with seeing if you can lift that left leg, the left foot and knee off the mat as well, but that's, you know, not so gentle when we're keeping it gentle in this flow, so you can forget about that. So just rise up a little bit, stay on the elbows, and can you just lift the right knee up, so lower down onto your right hip, extend the right arm straight, and roll over onto your back. Nice little transition to our back, and bring the right leg straight out in front of you. Reach the arms up overhead and try and press your whole body into the mat, especially the low back and the back of the thighs. So really trying to focus on opening up through the front of the left thigh. Meanwhile, if you went with that right leg as straight as possible, it doesn't have to be completely straight, but add some nice ankle circles through that right ankle. And just really trying to hold on to a little bit of activation, pressing the low back into the mat and the shoulders and everything. So looking for stability, circling out the ankle in the other way. Good, and then lower that right leg straight down next to the left and just do a little sausage roll back over onto your belly. So arms still straight up overhead. Maybe shimmy yourself so you're centered on your mat. And look at your hands, press the back of the wrists onto the mat, press down through the front of the hips, the armpits. Your chin can be resting on the mat. The tops of the feet press down into the mat. And the only thing I want you to think about lifting up off of the mat is the lower part of your ribs and belly. But really trying to press like the pubic bone and that area of the front of the hips down into the mat. Good, and you're breathing. Finding a nice stillness and stability here. Just looking for length and looking at that focal point as well. Just thinking about length, length, length. Good, and then release that. Oh, tuck the toes under, bring your hands back behind you, give everything a little shake, and just bring yourself back to a kneeling position. And maybe roll out the wrists, give the shoulders a little roll, just rolling in circles. And maybe building a little bit of an imagined resistance now as you roll through the shoulders. Keep your arms straight now as you do this. And imagine that you're trying to, like you're inside an igloo or something, and you're trying to just use your arms to press the ice away from you. That's the first thing that came to my mind because where I'm filming today, it's very, very cold. So really using your shoulders though to press long, pressing the shoulders up towards the ears. And now, can you hold that and look up through your hands up towards the ceiling? Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, hold that shape through the arms and the shoulders. As you lower the hands down, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up into a nice, gentle downward facing dog. So keep it really easy through the legs, pedal the feet, but try and hold on to the stability and that activation, these long lines that we're kind of creating by using our muscles, moving through an imagined resistance. And of course, it's up to you, like how resistant this resistance is, like how gentle and easy or how active and challenging you want to make this flow, all right? But just finding at least like 1% activation. And then can you nice and gently, still gazing at a focal point between your hands, can you lift the left leg up? Just take it easy, keep the knees bent if you need to, then step it down. Lift the right leg up, still holding onto that focal point with your with your eyes. Stability with the arms. Step the right leg forward. So keep your focal point exactly where it is as you reach the left leg up, and then the right leg up. Just holding on to that torque through the arms, holding on to the focal point at that point on your mat, between your thumbs, as you walk the feet closer and closer towards the hands, and you breathe. So we get this combination of activation through the muscles, calming through the breath, with the eyes on the focal point. Good. Once you get to a standing forward fold, so the feet are right by the hands, bring your hands off of the mat, bend the knees, just give it a little shake, and when you're ready, place the hands back down, find your focal point, bend the knees as much as you need to, find that torque, so press down through the knuckles of the first finger, so internally rotate, but then find external rotation. Bringing the creases of the elbows forward, maybe lean a little bit of weight towards the hands off of the feet. As you lift one leg up, step it back, lift the other leg up, step it back, holding our gaze on that one point, somewhere on our mat between the hands as you bring it back to your downward facing dog. Good. When you get back to your downward facing dog, your shoulders are pressing to your ears, your arms are still active, your gaze is still on that point. Go ahead and release all of that and lower down onto your knees into your tabletop position. Maybe, give it a shake out. Curse at me for being like, giving you tough stuff to do in a gentle flow. But remember, that's where the breath is for. That's what the pause button is for. When you're ready, let's just go through all that on the other side. So you're halfway through. So tuck the toes under, find that focal point ahead of you, and hold on to that. Slide the right leg back behind you. Keep the toes down on the floor to support you. Slowly slide everything back. See if you can get the lift hip right onto the heel. Bring the elbows down. So you're really low down, little like single leg child's pose. You're still looking forward. Pull the ribs in. So it's almost like a cat pose type thing that you've got going on. And then we'll just slide back up for that first one. Slide back down, still gazing at that same point. Elbows go down, ribs lift up off of the thigh, left hip reaching down all the way to the left heel. Option to extend the left arm out in front of you, still pulling the ribs in, trying to get the hand as high off the mat as you can at the same time. Good. Lower that down or keep it lifted as you come back to your tabletop position. Right toes can be down to support you. Left hand can be down. You've got different options to make this easier or harder. Slide back one more time all the way. See if you can get that left heel on the butt. Left butt on the heel, Elbows down, left arm lifts. Option to even lift the right leg up. This is really, really challenging, not at all gentle. That's why it's only an option. Just make sure you're breathing, whatever option you take. Good, and then stay on the elbows as you lift the hips up and just lift that left knee up and replace it with the left outside of the left hip. Extend the left arm to roll onto your back. Right leg Right leg comes down, left leg reaches up to the ceiling, arms are up overhead, shoulders pressing up towards the ears. And again, not really worrying too much about what the left leg is doing just now, just trying to find that shape, pulling the ribs in, pressing the low back into the mat, but also trying to get the back of the right thigh into the mat. So really working to open up through the front of the right leg here. And then if you want, you can also add some nice ankle circles. Just remember, above all else, to breathe. Circle the ankle each way. Maybe notice if you're able to isolate the movement to the ankle joint and not the knee or the toes doing too much of the work. All right, then lower the left leg down. Sausage roll over onto your belly, and again, just try and find a super straight line. So you'll feel this because we often kind of think that we're in a straight line when we're not. The floor means that we can't cheat ourselves. So press the arms, the armpits, the thighs, the tops of the feet, all down into the mat. The only thing lifting up is the bottom of the ribs. So really, especially that pubic bone on the front of the right thighs, like right where your thighs crease, where you sit down, that's what I want you to press down. So the sit bones squeezing in towards each other and down, getting that posterior tilt of the pelvis. And can you breathe? And are you looking forward between your hands? Good. Relax all that. Slide the hands back, tuck the toes under, and take it back to a kneeling position. Again, just give everything a little shake. And just like before, maybe we'll circle in the other direction. So circling like forwards with the shoulders. First of all, just totally in a state of ease, but begin to measure how you feel right here, right now. Not even comparing yourself to the last time we did this, but just how you feel now. How much effort do you want to bring into this? Do you want to imagine that you're moving against the resistance like water? Do you want to move against an imagined resistance like mud? Bring your elbows straight though as you do this. See if you can graze your earlobes with your shoulders. Good, and then hold with the arms straight up overhead. Look up towards the ceiling, through the thumbs. Pull the ribs in, take an inhale, and as you exhale, hold onto the shape through the shoulders and the arms as you lower the hands down, lift the hips up to tuck the toes under and come into a downward facing dog. Again, finding a focal point right at the front of the mat, not really the front of the mat, just somewhere around where the thumbs are. Knees nice and bent, but that activation and torque through the arms and shoulders. Lift the left leg up and lower it down. Lift the right leg and lower, step it forward. Just walking, lifting the leg and holding on to the gaze, holding on to that stability through the arms and holding on to that nice, smooth, helpful, intuitive breath. When you get to your Uttanasana, maybe roll up. Let's give it all a good shake and come up to stand on our legs. And when you're ready, on your next exhale, bend the knees to lower back down, to bring your hands flat. Maybe rock a little bit of weight forward towards your fingers. Have your gaze set on your mat somewhere, and slowly start walking the feet back, lifting the legs high if you want to, and finding that shape, that stability through the arms and shoulders. Holding your gaze on that same focal point until you get to your downward facing dog. Then lower the knees down nice and wide. Sink the hips down onto the heels. Lower your chest down into your thighs. Allow the arms to come down by your side and your forehead to lower gently to the mat. Maybe wiggle out here. And breathe. Close the eyes and allow yourself
to perhaps even imagine bringing this sense of stability through the activation and the challenge, perhaps, married with that ease of the breath and the drive and motivation that you get from staring at that fixed point to bring into the next flow that you do or into the rest of your day.